Hey, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I'm about to demonstrate a live trade here for you, but before I do, I have to give this disclaimer. I'm required by law, and trading futures is risky. Watching me do this doesn't guarantee you can do it, so it doesn't guarantee that you can reproduce my results. You can lose more money than you invest if you're trading futures, so be aware of that. And but let's get on to the trade. Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I hadn't done a live trade in a while, and I thought I might do one here. It's going to be a little more advanced and a little more tricky than normal trades. I'm going to try to. Looks like we're in a range bound or in a range today, and looks like we're bottoming out here. And we often talk about buying these lows here, and if we get a setup here, I'm going to try to show you how to trade this. So far, I see nothing. It's just acceptance of prices down here. I think um, I don't see anything that I would be interested in trading long yet or short. So we could get another short trade here, but I'm thinking long at this point. I'm watching for prices to bottom out possibly. You do see this trend channel here. We got a break. We have a new low in place. Prices are struggling to go lower, but we haven't got rejection down here yet. We could be getting it any minute, but I'm going to pause this, and when this sets up, I'll come back on and we'll try to see if we can get a recording of this live trade and show you how we do this. Okay, we did finally get a good signal bar here and broke higher, but I think you've got to have a higher low or something here. So let's see if it'll pull back to the EMA and maybe bounce off that and give us a setup that we might could take long here. And again, this is an advanced trade, but we've talked about them a lot lately on these range type days, how to try to buy these bottoms. And it looks like we're making a higher low here, which wouldn't surprise me because we keep kind of inching higher each day. So we may not be done going lower here yet, but if it gives me the setup here, it looks like we're about to turn higher. I'm going to trade it and I'm going to record it here and we'll go from there. But this one was really tempting, but that when it didn't break higher there, I think you have to wait. Um, see if we get a higher low or something of that nature, or some bounce off this off the EMA here. Maybe we'll see. But I'm going to pause it. We'll keep watching. Nothing yet. Okay, we may get something here. We'll see what happens. Gonna turn it back on. No, I still don't like that signal bar, so we'll pause it again. But you can kind of see the update. We have made a higher low, but there's no real setup we can trade here yet. So we'll just sit tight. And this is where patience comes in. You know, you're expecting something to happen. It appears to be happening exactly like I expected it, but it doesn't set up, so you just have to keep waiting. And I mean, I expected that we might find a bottom here, but nothing's set up that I would be willing to risk it yet. So we'll keep watching. We could still go lower yet. We may not have bottomed yet. Okay, and you see we did go lower. So that's why you don't force these trades. You wait for the right setup, and when you do get one that's the right setup, you can't hesitate. You have to take the trade and you go with it. And this is again really tempting here. We may be going to we're getting so close here. We'd probably be better off to wait and see if it tests this low. It may not though. It may if we get an engulfing bar here, I may go with it. But now we've already closed on the next bar. You can't go long there, so we'll cancel that. Okay, we're going to test this low. Further away you get a setup to come back to that EMA, the better. And so we may get a setup right here. There it is. We're in. Looks like I was a tad late maybe there, but we're in. We're going to try to scalp out. We'll see if we can get a run or two. And all I did was play this right off the previous support here. And again, this is a very advanced trade. It's a little dangerous. And we're not really bouncing out of there like you would expect we are. We're not going to monkey with the trade. Actually, I do need to tighten my stop up to 1 tick below. Hopefully we'll at least get our scalp, and then we'll see what happens from there. We'll see if we can get a runner here. There we are. We scalped out. 15 contracts we scalped out. Now we've moved to a break even plus 1 there. But let's see if we can get a runner here. Now you could manage this runner a little differently. Come on, let's get that runner there. I'm trying to get out. I'm just going to leave it right there where it's at because there's a lot of resistance there. If we push through that, we could go much higher, but I'm not going to risk that. And you could tighten this up to 1 tick below that now just to lock in some more profit, but we want to try to get something a little bigger out of this if we can. We're guaranteed to make money now. We can't lose any money. Whether or not we'll get a little bonus here with a runner is yet to be seen. I mean, the ES is very efficient, and there they stopped out our runner. So no runner on this one. And you can see here that they pretty much came back. That's how efficient this market, just enough to get those break-even stops, and now it's going higher. So I mean, you can play these. You can give this a little more. You can use your profit to give yourself a little more room, that kind of thing. But unless there's a failed breakout, I generally don't push these runners too hard. I just take my profit, and we basically scalped out on 15 contracts at $50 a contract, so $750 before commission. So after commission is probably about $735, something like that. But there it was. Again, this is not. I thought real hard about whether or not to demonstrate this trade or not, because I know every one of you are going to go try it. We're playing the range basically is what we're doing here. And generally you'd been better off to enter here than where I did. I entered it a little more risky, but a lot of times when you take on a little more risk, you're more apt to get a runner. We didn't get that runner today, but a lot of times you will. Usually the best when you get the failed breakout, when it breaks a little lower and then reverses, a lot of times that's where you have your better opportunity at getting a runner. But there it is. Again, it's a very advanced trade. It's very risky, but I've been wanting to demonstrate one of these. We're having so many range days lately, but that's generally how I try to play the range. The safer play would have been to wait. And actually, that was a second entry. Notice there's a high first entry, second entries. That was another reason I went ahead with that trade. You might have been better off waiting on the high or low because you see how close I came to getting stopped out. But that's why we put our stop where we put it. And that's why we don't monkey around with it. They'll try to get it, but generally, if you put it where it's supposed to be, if you're reading the market right, you'll probably survive, even if it comes close like that. And I could have left it where it was and gave it 2 ticks, but generally our rule is put it 1 tick below it and don't give the market any more than you have to if you're wrong. And because usually if it gets 1 tick, it's going to get both of them. So very rarely will I leave it anywhere but 1 tick below the signal bar. So um, we still haven't really bounced out of here yet. So this market's still acting like maybe it wants to go lower. Um, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that live trade example. I haven't done one in a while. People are always asking about them, and I've been wanting to show you how I trade these ranges, and that's how I do it. I mean, again, it was notice the new high here. So you had a first entry, and then you run down and you bounced exactly off the previous overnight low on a second entry long with a decent signal bar way away from the EMA. A lot of times this thing will take off on that shot. It did. It came back, and it's probably what they'll probably do is there's probably a lot of traders that did exactly what I did, but a lot of them won't give it much room, and they'll come back and run all their stops and then take it back up. So I mean that's the way it works. The first thing you got to do is learn the strategy. But once you learn the strategy, a lot of this is experience and just watching prices and knowing what they do and understanding how they work and sitting there and being patient. You saw how patient I was waiting on that setup. And it took it a few minutes to set up, but once it did set up, I didn't hesitate. I put my buy order in there. I didn't really even get a good buy order on that. I was either I was trying to get my order in there quick enough. I either got a tick of slippage or I put it 1 tick too high. I probably put it 1 tick too high if you're not careful when you're trying to rush, because I knew that was going to take off. And if I didn't get my order in, I was going to miss it. So, and you see we have gone lower here. So you may get another setup to buy a failed breakout here shortly, but we could continue lower, but we've already had the break in new lows, so I suspect that shortly we'll probably bounce out of here and get a big rally. So anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed that live trade example, just how to trade a range basically. So I mean, again, you're just looking for scalps on these kind of days. You're not going to get a lot of runners. When you are, it's going to be like I just talked about, a failed break down here or some real strong support that finally bounces out. But otherwise, it's really hard to get runners on days like this because you see even when it's trending down, it's rallying strongly and then it turns down strongly, and it's just difficult to get a runner on days like this. So just generally, I try to scalp out. And we did have the failed breakout here, just as you would expect. We didn't get a setup, unfortunately, but we still had a failed breakout, which is exactly what you would expect to happen here. And when you do get a setup down here, can catch these are where you often get the runners. And this could be the low of the day, or it'll probably almost always be an important low of the day. It may not be the low of the day, but you might get a nice run all the way back to the top, and we could make another lower low before the day is over. But generally, it'll be a very important low for the day, and it'll give you a great runner and a chance to make some money in most cases. Now, it's not 100%, just like everything in trading, but that's the idea. You want to catch a bounce off this bottom like I did, or catch the failed breakout. No setup. Again, you got to be patient, and you don't force these trades. You saw me sit there. I started expecting a possible long way up here, and I had to wait till we got here. And even then, it wasn't quite time yet. But if you wait for the good setup, you'll probably still get your scalp or whatever based on range rules. And that's what happened there. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I've been wanting to. I'll try to do more of these when I can. All the stuff I've had going on, it's been tough for me to even do the basics, much less try to record trades too. But I will try to do these when I can, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And good trades to all.